Bonjourning, buenos dias, salamat, and bon jovi. Today we're going to go through the known story of Star Atlas. This is detailed out in the Atlas Star newsletter on their website. This is issue number 10, and basically goes through the known story and gives a background of Star Atlas. So for those newcomers who want to get into understanding the story, the lore, this could be a good place to start. I'm just going to read through it. So apologies if it's a little bit cringe, but well, you'll just have to put up with it. So the known story. The story of Star Atlas is the shared tale of how different civilizations rose to the stars and braved the marvelous unknown in star systems across the cosmos. It's a story of valorous achievements and nefarious crimes, some of which are recorded in the halls of museums across the galaxy, and some that are buried under the ashes of forgotten worlds. What we are talking about today belongs to the realm of the canon, or the known story. Nevertheless, since we are nearing the time of perhaps another milestone of our galactic tale, it's time we catch a glimpse of what is currently hidden but may resurface when the time is due. Although the galaxy is filled with billions of life forms and organizations, the Star Atlas lore is mainly focused on the story of the three more prominent factions: the Manus Ultima Divina, the MUD, the holy representation of mankind; the Oni Consortium, a conglomerate of different alien races; and the Ustur, a civilization of sentient androids. The known lore starts with these different factions, discovering planet Iris and eventually waging a massive galactic-scale war for control of it. It begs the question, what is so special about this planet, and what drives three civilizations to the brink of extinction? The answer lies in the very nature of Iris, and this is where we should do our first dive to understand the fascination about the planet at the center of the galaxy, and the unique zone around it called the Cataclysm. Okay, so that's the intro, the overview. Next, we'll go through the story of Iris and that planet and the Cataclysm. In forgotten times, the rogue planet Iris, full of invaluable materials, collided with 7 child planets in a remote region near the center of the galaxy, creating henceforth the Cataclysm. In this area, a new form of free energy was born, an anomaly in the galactical order without peers. This unique resource, among other rare ones that can be found abundantly in the Cataclysm zone, makes it the most desirable treasure in the galaxy. Another interesting characteristic of the Cataclysm zone is the presence of the mysterious Tufa, a race of hybrid mineral and organic creatures that appear to be heavily concentrated on the asteroid belts closer to Iris. Much is speculated about the origins of the Tufa and their relationship with the Cataclysm. Theories range from some saying they get their sustenance from the energy that comes from Iris, to the planet being the actual living god of the Tufa, said to awaken at some point and lead them in a galactical crusade. Big stuff. While we currently don't know the real truth, what is certain is that the Tufa are guarding the outskirts of Iris, and those who want to poach its riches will undoubtedly face a zealous defense from the rocky beings. Iris took a long time to be discovered. Due to an accident of fate's design, a group of space explorers from different factions stumbled upon the Cataclysm zone. They found Iris, scanning the planet and discovering the massive value of this galactic anomaly. This would later become the first intergalactic data block, which would be sold to the rival factions and spark the greatest war ever seen. Ho ho ho. Okay, I'm in. It's good so far. So, the war. This is called the Convergence War in the lore. At this point, a slight detour to the years that preceded the Convergence War is necessary. When Iris was discovered, the galaxy factions were in a development burst caused by their expansion and colonization of many different worlds across what is known as the medium risk zone, and a few small colonies in the high risk zone. The MUD had already harnessed the resources of Earth to propel their empire toward the stars. Following the summoning of the Futali Ah, they created a new unified religion and regime for humankind based on the leadership of Charon Goti and the teachings they received. Humanity was now striving to earn their promised heaven in the skies. The Ustur had awakened just a few years prior, finding themselves in a hybrid organic body and unable to access the memories of their past. Nevertheless, a calling was placed on every Ustur soul to experience reality and to expand their understanding of creation and themselves on all fronts, even spirituality. For this mission, their people also spread through the stars. Finally, the Oni had just formed its consortium. The people of the Om, Sigal, Akinat, and Nueno systems had set aside their disputes united in harmonious cooperation in hopes of building a better future. Hazel, a Sogmian race member and the consortium's first leader, had just reached power and found the love of her life, Bekalu. This warrior race led the expansion of the Oni people towards the center of the galaxy. The homeworld systems of the three different factions were more or less equidistant from one another in the outer reaches of the galaxy, and so they also started almost simultaneously expanding their borders and influence towards the inner zones. By the time Iris was discovered, all of them had already built extensive supply routes in the medium and high-risk zones, and were ready to reach the Cataclysm zone in deep space. They had little direct engagement before this point, aside from knowing the existence of others, and one could imagine the surprise when all of them converged on the borders of the Cataclysm at nearly the exact same time with their scouting fleets. A myriad of reasons, including pride, greed, and overall ignorance, kept the factions from settling a cooperative solution to the exploration of Iris, and a massive war broke out between the three groups. There is no language in the galaxy with enough vocabulary to describe the nightmare that was the Convergence War. Entire worlds and civilizations were destroyed as the factions clashed across the cosmos. The prosperity built upon the expansion of the factions to the stars was turned to ashes, burned to keep the machines of war and destruction flying from system to system to bring death and sorrow. Among the many tragedies of this period, the leader of the Oni consortium was assassinated, and her kind was pushed to the brink of extinction. With only 10,000 Sogmians left in the universe, her husband Bekalu, followed by the remaining members of their race, proceeded to their homeworld for her funeral. And as his love's ashes burned in a beam of light, Bekalu left a wrathful howl and swore to lead their people to victory. No matter the price, rattling the assembled crowd to the core. After a few more years of this conflict, Bekalu's promise finally came to fruition in the form of the ultimate weapon, the Mark 8 Busan Last Stand. This Titan ship served as both a home for the Sogmian and the core of the Oni fleet, and whenever it appeared on the horizon, destruction was sure to follow. It wiped out entire armadas in the blink of an eye. At this point, every faction had already overstepped their capacity to finance the conflict. Aside from an incalculable number of lives lost, the factions' populations in the home systems were plagued by poverty, famine, disease, and civil unrest for the mindless slaughter and destruction of goods that the war effort caused. The appearance of the Last Stand was the last drop of galactic patience with this conflict that had dragged on for many years. It was beyond the time to stop. So finally, the factions signed the Treaty of Peace, issuing a new era in the galaxy. That was a long one. I wasn't expecting it to be that long. So, a new era, the golden age of space exploration. Yes, there's more. As soon as army.elder, I don't know how you say that, army.elder? As soon as army.elder, Bekalu and Charon signed the Treaty of Peace for the Ustur, Ustur, Oni, and MUD. Hey, it's getting difficult now. It's getting difficult. I'll start again. As soon as army.elder, Bekalu and Charon signed the Treaty of Peace for the Ustur, Oni, and MUD factions, the galaxy started slowly healing. The leadership of each group did everything in their power to integrate the factions, trying to mend the wounds caused by the war. After years of effort, general understanding and cooperation started to prevail. A key feature in the recovery of this social and political ecosystem was the Council of Peace, a multi-faction organization with jurisdiction over all intergalactic disputes, focused on the welfare of the citizens of the galaxy by leveraging the cooperation of different civilizations. One of the highlights of this cooperation was the formation of Starpath, a chain of warp gates that allowed goods and services to surpass hundreds of light years of distance in a matter of seconds. This marvel of infrastructure caused the different faction economies to be closely and peacefully entwined. This period of regrowth also demanded the retreat of the different factions from their high and medium risk zone colonies. The few resources that were left had to be focused on reconstructing the infrastructure in the faction's own homeworld systems, leading the old colonies to their own fate in the depths of the void. After nearly a century of reconstruction, economic and cultural prosperity returned under the governance of the Council of Peace. The main face of the success of the faction's peace was embodied in many ships that hurried towards the horizons of the low-risk zone without fear, carrying wealthy people from one planet to another. Many prominent manufacturers introduced their new models to the galaxy, some of them as companies working under two different manufacturers' tutelage, like Calico, Ogrica, and Opal, whose models became more popular day by day. It's in this era when paradise is meeting reality in the faction homeworlds that our players, captains, entrepreneurs, and explorers are called to fly into the void in the name of their factions and brave the unknown. You still following? The day after tomorrow. Although a small part of the galaxy was able to live in a very comfortable and fulfilling life, this is not the reality for most of the citizens outside the low-risk zone. The populations of the worlds left to their own fates have faced many challenges in the last decades after being cut off from the intergalactic economy and law systems. Most of the planets and colonies in the inner reaches have been controlled by regional warlords or rogue factions such as the Jorvik and Ecos, and submitted to their harsh rules. Nevertheless, some would argue that was indeed a lucky fate for the citizens outside the faction order, as some worlds were simply plundered, enslaved, or outright destroyed by the galactic conflicts that erupted after the factions had withdrawn. The vacuum of power has yet to settle properly. Still, members of the newer generations of Ustur, MUD, and Oni have started once again to desire the legendary Iris and the worlds full of riches in their old colonies. The pressure inside the faction's leadership and the Council of Peace are almost tangible. As leaders of different DACs and organizations who hadn't lived through the Convergence War desire their share of the galaxy's prosperity in terms of resources and territories. No one can say for sure what's going to happen next in the galaxy, and the current status quo is starting to give signs of fatigue. Nevertheless, the stories of the Ustur, MUD, Oni and the rest of the galaxy are open to being written by explorers ready to risk their fate for their convictions. The Unknown Story, a glimpse into the future. So now that you are up to speed with the condensed story, that was condensed, of Mud, Oni and Ustur, let us introduce you to how you can keep up with their adventures and the different products that we have in the queue to expand the vibrant lore of Star Atlas. Our first project, in that sense, is the graphic novel, a comic book designed by the legendary Tim McBurney, whose plot is set in the past of Star Atlas. As we don't want to share any spoilers, we will limit ourselves to saying that Tim's stories will dwell on a question: what is worth risking your life? This will be an epic tale about the values of Mud, Oni, and Ustur cultures clashing in the depths of space, a must-read that will be available for our community later this year. That's from Star Atlas. The second project is the weekly roadmap reports. Every week, our community is able to follow the adventures of Lieutenant Wen, a human raised in the harsh environment of a medium-risk zone salvage yard, determined to make the galaxy a better place for everyone. Through his and other characters' adventures, our community is able to learn organically about the enormous variety of planets, organizations, and philosophies that comprise the current state of our metaverse's social and political structure. The third project is Moon Station 6, a partnership between Star Atlas and Audio Up to develop our lore in the form of an exciting podcast. In this project, our community will learn about the underworld of the galaxy's prisons in a great plot that explores the faction's past and an Ustur journey for justice. Of course, you will also want to keep up with this exciting exploration of the galaxy of Star Atlas. Lots going on. So aside from these three projects, we at Automata never stopped working in the expansion of our galaxy story. In the near future, we are planning on sharing exciting new initiatives that will lift the veil from significant parts of the lore of Star Atlas, allowing our community to learn more about the details of Mud, Oni, and Usturs. Keep your eyes and ears open. So there we have it. Not bad for a first read through, I must say. I'll give myself a 6 or 7 out of 10 for that one, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure I'll do many more of these. Christ. No, I will. I'll do more. Well, it depends. If you want me to or not, let me know down in the comments below. Ha ha ha. Alright, thanks very much, guys. Ciao for now.